Welcome to Lombardi's Legends podcast. We are so darn hyped here tonight, folks. It's been an awesome off season so far. We're getting ready for training camp, and what a special guest tonight. Green Bay Packers tight end Messiah Swinson. Messiah, welcome to Lombardi's Legends podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you guys for having me. I feel good. I'm excited. But yeah, I'm doing good. Enjoying these last couple weeks before we head into camp.
Man, well, I'll tell you what. There's nothing like Packer training camp. The bike rides, the fans. Like, dude, you're going to be your practices are in front of thousands of people. So there's nothing like it up in Green Bay. We'll be up there. We'll say what's up. But I just got to ask. First question. We always ask first time guests on the pod. Messiah, how does it feel to be a Green Bay Packer?
Oh man, it's amazing, man. Going throughout the whole process of the pre-draft and pro day and interviews and playing in different Senior Bowl games and stuff like that. You kind of just imagine where you're going to end up. You talk to basically all the teams at all these different events and stuff like that. And every team that you talk to, you kind of have a little bit of a feeling like, oh, maybe I'll head there or maybe I'll go there. But never did I really think that I'd end up a Green Bay Packer. But man, it's been a blessing. It's been awesome. I love my 5-6 weeks that I spent in Green Bay. And man, I couldn't wish for anything better.
Yeah, Messiah, coming from Long Island, right? It's where you hail from. Everybody's got a little bit of a different journey to the NFL, and you talked a little bit about what that process was before you signed with Packers. But just love to hear in your words. Go back as far as you want. What that journey has been for you, and what it's taken to get to where you are right now.
Yeah, man. Like you said, I'm from Long Island, which is not a huge football place. New York in general is not a place where, there's a whole lot of big time football. Every now and then, you have a really good player come out. And this year, I think we had maybe 2 or 3 guys get drafted and a bunch of guys get signed. But it's not historically known as a place for football where a lot of guys come out of. So, I started playing football when I was young. I think around 7 or 8. I think maybe when I was 7 years old, I started playing football. I played offensive line and defensive line all the way until I was around, I think, 8th grade or 7th grade. I made the switch to tight end. I still played D-line. I played defensive end. But yeah, I made the switch to tight end right in middle school. Started to get a little bit taller and, hit a growth spurt, get a little bit more lanky. So, they thought, put me at tight end. I was bigger and, stronger than most of the kids I was playing against. So I definitely had a little bit of an advantage. Going into high school, I was playing tight end. In my 9th grade year, in 8th grade, I was playing JV. In 9th grade, played JV also, and just had some success at tight end. Started getting different little camp invites and showcases and stuff like that. And going into my 10th grade year, I transferred high schools just for a better opportunity. And they had just great athletic program and just a great. It was just a great school in general altogether. So my 10th grade year, I think, is really where things started to take off for me. I was playing, like I said, tight end and defensive end. And after my 10th grade season, my head coach, and our other coach, they sat me down and they were like, I know you play basketball and you love basketball, but I think if you take some time away from AAU basketball this summer and spring, and you just, start to dedicate yourself to training for football, I think it'll really pay off and you'll be able to get a free education and, maybe even more than that. So I'd say in 10th grade is when the football really started to take off for me. And I really started to notice how much I could do with the game. And, that I can go really far. I had a kid from my high school, he's maybe 7 or 8 years older than me. But he was in the NFL at the time. His name was Shamar Steffen. He retired, I believe now. He played for the Vikings and the Broncos, and he would come back and talk to me all the time, just about the process of getting recruited and going to college and what that was like, his experience there, and just his first couple of years in the NFL. I come from a football family, really an athletic family. My dad played Division I football and Division I basketball, and he ended up getting drafted by the Dolphins. And I have some uncles that played Division I football and cousins and who played in the NFL also. So I definitely come from a background of football. It's something I grew up around. I looked up to my dad a bunch as I was a kid, and I got to, I wanted to do everything that he did. So I played basketball, I played football. I got to watch all his old stuff and stuff like that. So, 10th grade, like I said, I stopped training. I stopped playing basketball in the off season. I started just training for football, and some schools started to come around for me, and started recruiting me, inviting me to their camps and stuff like that. And then really in 11th grade, after my junior season, is when I started to get different offers and stuff like that. And then going to my senior year, I had got an offer from Missouri. I had taken a visit there. I really loved it. I hit it off with the tight end who was starting there at the time. And him and I ended up becoming like best friends. And it was just a great experience overall. And I went into Missouri. I spent 4 years there. I spent 6 years in college. So a little bit of a different journey than other people. And, like this, especially this draft class, there's a bunch of guys, who spent those extra 2 years in school. So, yeah, man, it was a crazy journey. Missouri, I got hurt my freshman year. I tore my ACL. So I kind of missed that whole entire year. I redshirted. And then I didn't really see the field much my second year there, my redshirt freshman year technically. And, I had a coaching change midway through my time there after my second year. New coach, kind of different offense, different style of play that he brought in. I learned a lot there. I learned a ton. I learned a ton, the old staff with the new staff. And then I essentially transferred to Arizona State after my 4th season there, but I was technically only like a redshirt sophomore because we had COVID year. I had my regular redshirt. So it was a pretty interesting journey for me, and I ended up spending my last 2 years at Arizona State, which were great. I loved it. I loved the environment. I loved the team. I loved the coaches, all the dudes that I was around. So yeah, man, it was a heck of a journey for me to get to this point. But man, I'm excited that I'm here now.
We're super pumped. We love the origin story, right? Of how guys get here, because we've had so many great guests over the years, and none are the same, right? No path is the same. There's not a direct route, so we really appreciate that. So, gotta ask then. You talked to you alluded to it. You talked to a ton of different teams. Like, how did you find out, hey, Green Bay's interested after the draft? How did you find out, hey, you're going to Green Bay? Like, what does that look like? Because we were talking a little bit before we went live that it's just been a whirlwind. I think those are my words, but I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's a whirlwind between draft day, you're an undrafted guy, to this moment here. We're recording middle of late June here. So what does that look like? How do you find out you're going to Green Bay?
So, I mean, like I said, I talked to a bunch of different teams in the draft was in April. So, the 4 months leading up to the draft, I think I did interview with Green Bay at a point at the Hula Bowl, I believe. I'm honestly not sure. There was you go through a bunch of teams and you sit and you go back to back with interviewing with teams. But the draft weekend came. I knew that if I were to get drafted, it'd probably be on day 3. I had a pretty good understanding with that, my agents, and so day 3 came, and I was kind of just wasn't really watching it much. Not really sitting there because get a little bit anxious and you're sitting there nervous and stuff like that. So I spent the day with my mom and my brother, just hanging out at the house, just kind of communicating with my agent and certain teams. And then I'd say in the 5th round, the Packers had texted me, Coach Stanovich, the offensive coordinator. He had texted me and he was like, you still there? And I was like, yeah, I'm here. He's like, well, I don't know how today's going to go with picks and everything like that, but, we would love to have you in the green and gold. So just kind of stand by. And then I got another text for him later in the 6th round. So I know there was some interest there. And then the communication with my agents, started to happen. And I was kind of getting calls from him back and forth for a little bit towards like the end of the 6th round, the 7th round. And then I believe he called me in, I think the middle of the 7th round, and he said that the Packers have an offer and the Bengals have an offer for undrafted. And, if the Packers don't take a tight end at the end of the draft, then, that's most likely where you'll end up going. So Um, by the time the Packers took their last pick in the 7th round, I think was Kalen. And as soon as he got drafted, um, minutes later, I got a call from a Green Bay number. So that was, by the time, maybe as soon as the draft ended, or maybe it wasn't even over, it was when I got the call from them. They were excited and wanted to get the ball rolling and everything. So, right as it ended, I knew that I was going to be a Packer. After I talked to my agent, I had a pretty good feeling that I was going to go to Green Bay or Cincinnati. It was either two, but Green Bay was definitely like a big target. Just in my mind, that was somewhere that would be awesome to play. Not that Cincinnati wasn't, but I mean, I'm happy that I ended up here. And so by the end of that, by the time that clock was out, I kind of, I had things set in stone. And by the end of the night, I was everything was official.
Yeah, and that really is a whirlwind, but it doesn't stop there, right? So I'm just kind of curious, what was the experience then heading into rookie orientation, OTAs, mini camp? I mean, it's been a full off season already, and we haven't even got to training camp yet. So just curious what that experience was like, and I'm assuming, or maybe I shouldn't make the assumption, but most people probably that are from Long Island and play football in the SEC and in the Pac-12 don't usually make side trips to Green Bay. So I'm guessing that was your first experience in Green Bay, Wisconsin as well. So love to hear what that whole experience has been coming up to Green Bay for all of those camps so far.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. The draft, I think day 3 ended on Saturday, and I believe they gave us until the following Thursday to report for rookie minicamp. I believe Friday and Saturday were those rookie minicamp practices, and man, it was awesome, man. It was I got on that flight Thursday morning. I got into Green Bay around like midday, around noon, I think, and rookie minicamp. As soon as you get there, you got to do a bunch of paperwork. There's a whole list of stations for you to hit around the facility, and in terms of physical and doing blood work and getting height and weight and sizes, getting fitted for everything, all your equipment and stuff like that, going to the hospital and getting scans, just doing a whole check on everything and checking all the boxes to make sure you're good to go. But it was awesome, man, just getting there for the first time, seeing Lambeau Field. I didn't actually get to see the stadium inside the stadium for a couple of days, but it was just an awesome experience. Being from Long Island, like you said, I never did make any trips out to Green Bay or even Wisconsin. I never been to Wisconsin prior to, signing with the Packers. So it was awesome, man. It was an awesome experience. And, just seeing that G, that logo was for the first time was just an awesome experience, and being able to put it on and, seeing a jersey and seeing clothes in your locker and seeing a name on your locker was just, a surreal experience and a surreal feeling, so, it's hard to put into words, but man, I was excited, and, I got to send my mom pictures and my brothers, just my first day here and, everything I was going through. So, man, it was awesome just getting up there for the first time. And, once you get there, that's when it doesn't really feel real until you actually get there. So that's when it really started to feel real for me. And, man, it was awesome. I can't even explain it, but it's something I'll never forget.
And so how have OTAs, how did they gone for you so far? I know that, that your position group, youthful position group, a lot of talent in this group. I know Tucker was down for OTAs, Tyler Davis coming back from the knee. So I'm guessing, a lot of opportunity there to get snaps and to work. So, what's your comparison college to the pros, and just how has OTAs been for you so far? Because so much of it's limited to the press, right? Or to podcasts or whatever. So you get to see, of course, you're participating. We get a glimpse of it. So how has that been for you so far?
Yeah, man, it's been awesome. It's just you learn a lot every day. You're learning something new. That's the biggest thing, I think. In terms of football wise, from the college to NFL, it's not like, personally, I didn't feel like it was such a huge difference in terms of just being on the field. I feel like once you get to a certain point, football is football, and you're playing against good players, no matter where you're. If you're playing in a big conference, any conference really in college football, you're playing against really talented dudes and guys who have a chance to play on Sundays. That's, obviously why they're there playing. But man, it was just a great experience. I learned a lot. The room that we have, like you said, is super young. I believe 5 out of the 7 of us in the room right now, 5 of them are going into their second year in the NFL. Some of the guys going to the second year, even my age or even a year younger than me. So I think I might be older than a dude or two in the room. So that's been a cool experience. It's cool because like I said, all the guys are young and they're easy to talk to. They just went through this not even a year ago. This whole process that I just went through and being a rookie and going to rookie minicamp and starting my first OTAs and getting integrated with the team. It really has been a great experience. I've learned a lot. JD, tight end coach, he's been amazing, man. He's just been super helpful. One of the best teachers I've ever had in terms of football, just sitting there and just teaching you the game and teaching you, going over something if you don't understand it, and super open to questions and stuff like that. And all the guys in the room just super, super helpful. And I sit next to Ben Sims in the tight end room, and he helps me all the time. And he'll test me, he'll quiz me on something if in the room and ask me, hey, what's this, just to keep me on my toes. So I feel the support from everybody in the room. Top to bottom, it's a great group. Everybody in the room is awesome. Even if the guys who were injured last year or coming off injury, they're still in the room, for meetings. So TD and Tuck, I get to be around those guys and ask them questions, and they're out there at practice, helping me out with certain things. So I couldn't have asked for a better group of guys, just to be around, because everybody's just super open to helping, which is awesome. So I feel super lucky about that. And yeah, man, it's really been a good experience so far. Learning a lot in terms of the offense. That's just the biggest thing for me, is just learning, understanding the playbook, getting to break it down now that I'm by myself, kind of get to interpret it my own way. Because every day something new is thrown at you while you're at OTA. So especially as a rookie, never seeing this kind of stuff before. It's a lot to take in all at once. Tight end, you got to learn a lot. You got to know all the run concepts. You got to know all the pass concepts. You got to know where to be in each spot on the field in the pass game, and whether you're on the front side of the run or on the back side, of the run. So I'm just, learning it all and, making sure I feel good before I head back in there for camp. But overall, it was a great experience. And, everybody in the room, from the coach to all the tight ends, just have been super helpful. So they made it easy for me.
Yeah, and you literally just answered a question I was going to ask, and kind of a comment. I think most fans understand that any position is difficult at the NFL level, but tight end especially, because of what you just said. So it tends to be one of the longest learning curves for any position to really get settled in and to find your place. And so I'm just kind of curious, is you look at kind of the lay of the land, and there's only so many jobs, but what do you think is your path? Is it specializing in run blocking? Is it your pass catching ability? Is it special teams? Is it all of the above? Because there's only so many spots you can grab, but obviously you're all there for a reason. So just kind of curious to hear what you think is the path that you would like to most try to take to make this team and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, obviously special teams, being an undrafted guy, special teams is super important. Making the most of every single rep, not only on the field, but the mental reps in the classroom, in the film room, in the special teams meeting is super important, because that's a whole, side of the ball in and of itself. In college, it's big in college and it's important, but in the NFL, it's arguably the most important thing, before offense and defense. So for me, I feel like that's the biggest thing, is to excel in special teams and, give it everything I got, every single play out there, and know what I'm doing. I feel like offensively and in the tight end room, for me, these last couple of years were really where I've excelled at is blocking. I came into college not really being a blocker and not being a great blocker at all, and not being able to put my hand in the dirt too much. To after my third year in school, that's something that where I was the best at, in my game. It's something that I really had to embrace in college. It's not something I necessarily wanted to. Everybody wants to be out there catching passes and scoring touchdowns, but there's a role for everybody on the team. And I figured out, when I was, like I said, after my third year, that's something I was really good at and really excelled at. And my last 2 years at Arizona State, I caught some balls, but the biggest thing for me was just, man, put good film on tape, blocking. Just always put good blocking on tape. And that's something I take a lot of pride in because, like I said, all the tight ends want to catch passes and stuff like that. But if you can block, you can stay around because not everybody wants to do it. So for me, it's just establishing the line of scrimmage, being dominant there and showing that, I can pass protect and showing that I can run block. And then obviously, pass catching, that's something I feel like is super natural to me. I feel like once I get out in space, I feel really comfortable with the ball coming to me. I feel really comfortable with the ball in my hands. I feel super comfortable in the red zone. It's something I feel like an area where I excel at. And yeah, man, I think, putting it all together and, being a complete tight end is obviously the goal. But, focusing on just the little things and the little details, in each of the run game and the pass game is what I think will help, bring my game and to the point where, I want to be. So special teams and, just focusing on those little things on each, facet of the position of tight end.
Yeah, and the Packers, for years, Mercedes Lewis, who's still going, he's in Chicago, but he's been playing for 19. I think he's going into his 19th year, but he's made a massive career from the blocking side of things. Not to say he doesn't, move the chains, but Messiah, that's really remarkable to me, actually. I didn't realize that heading into college, blocking wasn't something that you really have been doing as much because, we've watched some tape on you, watched as much as we could consume and find ahead of this interview. And you can largely be dominant at the line as a tight end. And you're a big bodied guy. You mentioned getting taller as a young man. Folks, Messiah's what, 6'7", 6'8" listed. Yes. So, you're a big target, big tight end here. What do you credit your blocking success to, if that's something, because that's really exciting, I think, for us to hear that this is something that you're, relatively still new to in the blocking. You played college football for 6 years, but I feel like there still could potentially be room for you to learn at the NFL level where you're already a really, really skilled blocker. So, what was that? A lot of just hard work, a lot of practice? Like, where do you find that to hone in your skills as a run and as a pass blocker, really?
Yeah. Going, like I said, going into college, I was more of a pass catcher, and I was recruited to an offense where they use big tight ends, big, long dudes who are athletic. There were a couple of us there with the same type of body type. All the guys who were older than me ended up playing in the NFL. One of them is still in the NFL. But then after my second year at Missouri, we had a coaching change, and we brought in a new coach, a new style of play, a new offense. It was more of an outside zone scheme. So the biggest thing for me was if I knew I wanted to get on the field and play in some capacity, then I had to block, especially, playing in the SEC. It's less of like a tight end pass catching league, I'd say. You have guys like Brock Bowers, guys like that. But, if you can't block in the SEC, then you won't play. So establishing the line of scrimmage was something that they took super seriously while I was in Missouri. I had a tight ends coach who, was really meticulous with footwork with us and firing off the ball and making sure your hands were engaged. And, like I said, that I knew that if I wanted to get on the field, then that was something that I had to be good at. So I'd say, my third year at Missouri is where I really started to hone in on that. Being out in the field, I realized man, I'm bigger than mostly everybody out here, except maybe an offensive tackle sometimes. So, just as, we don't want to get hit by a DN sometimes, they don't really want to get hit by a big old dude either. So, once I noticed that, how strong I was just with at the point of attack with my hands. And once I get my hands engaged, I give some problems on the line of scrimmage. And just using my length too, that's something I've had to learn and still learning now. JD has been helping me with that a ton, just helping me realize I have really long arms and I'm strong once I get them engaged. And that's something I have to use to my advantage. But yeah, man, I'd say my latter years in college is that's where I really, started to understand that was a strong point in my game. And then going into my first year at Arizona State, we had a tight end who was more of a pass catcher, he was a little more natural in the pass game, played receiver and, played a bunch of different positions around the offense. And, I was more of like the inline wide, and they played us in a lot of 12 personnel. So while he was split out, I was on the line of scrimmage a lot. So, just watching my film and noticing like, man, I can keep up with the DN just as good, if not better than my tackle can. That's something that I really was like, all right, this is something that, could help bring me to the next level. Because like I said, not a lot of guys want to do it. Not a lot of guys want to, be blocking all the time. It's a rough job. It's not easy at all. So, but yeah, man, my latter years in college was really when I started to hone in on that. And then, just every day, just put in the work at practice and making sure I had good footwork and just watching film and just making sure I put good stuff on tape because, people notice those type of things and NFL teams notice those type of things. They don't really care if you want to catch pass all the time, but if you can't block and, you're not an Evan Ingram type of guy, then it's going to be hard for you to get on the field. So I knew for me, just the path that I had and the journey that I had, that blocking would be super important for me. And I noticed I was pretty good at it. So that's, something I really just started to focus on.
And you mentioned teams before too, and I don't know if you've been getting some reps on kickoff, both kick defense and kick coverage. But with the new kickoff rules, I would just love to get some firsthand insight from a guy that's been on the field, whether you've been getting those reps or not. Like how much is that changing? Because we're even seeing that from a personnel standpoint, Packers, other teams, maybe they're going to be carrying more tight ends, more linebackers, guys than they normally would on a 53-man roster, because now it's about, can you win those blocks, get off blocks, maintain blocks as much as it is the speed that you're getting down the field and those gunner positions that traditionally are so important on teams. So I'm just kind of curious, just, what your perspective with that's been, if you got any like inside tactical perspective on that, because I think as fans, we're all so excited to see how that could change some of the most exciting plays in football.
Yeah, man, it's definitely different. It's unlike anything any of us have done before. I mean, even the special teams coach, the way that they're coaching it is different. You've had special teams coaches who have been coaching the same way for 25, 30 years. Rich has been around the NFL for a long time, and he's been teaching the same things. I mean, prior to, I guess, when they eliminated like the wedge and stuff like that and wedge busters, he's been teaching it the same way. So it's definitely different. It's a lot less high impact collision, especially like for guys like in my position, like tight ends usually play on the back, in the back tight ends, we're like the two guys before the returners. So, that's a big collision. You got a guy running 45 yards down the field, full speed, basically into you. So it takes a little bit of the collision out of it. For me, I can get my hands engaged a little bit quicker, and there's less space. It takes away the space that somebody's running at you, and you can really get your hands on them. So for me, I've kind of just, I mean, obviously, we haven't been in pads, so nothing was really full speed yet. But just from the technique that they've been teaching us, it's just get your hands on the dude, engage, stay low, because you got a ball carrier coming from behind you, a long way. So, man, it's just I feel like it's just get your hands on the dude, and then on the kickoff side of the ball, it's just trying to make a move, trying to get around, at 10 yards, because you're about the return team, is about 10, 15 yards back. But it's definitely different. I think we've watched like XFL and USFL clips of how they do it. We're just trying to like see what technique they're using and stuff like that. But I feel like it's going to be a big experiment around the league for everybody because, mostly, pretty much nobody has done this yet. So, yeah, it's been interesting and just trying to get the techniques down. But it's been pretty cool. It's cool. It's a whole new facet of the game that nobody's ever done before. And, I get to do it in the first year, which is also my first year in the NFL. So it's been pretty cool.
We heard the phone ring. Was that Bisaccia? Were his ears ringing? Maybe you heard kickoff and special teams.
He said not to give any of his secrets away.
That's he was telling his ears are ringing. Besides, we want to be mindful of your time. Outside of the game, are you a music guy? Do you like movies? What are you into? If you're not, and do you have any hype music? Anything you like to listen to? Before the game, what's that look like?
I'm definitely a music guy. Movies, more TV shows. These last 6 months, living, training for pre-draft and pro day and stuff like that. You stay in a hotel. So, I stayed in a hotel for about 2 months. So I watched a lot of shows. I watched a lot of TV. I've been watching Peaky Blinders. That's my new show that I'm watching right now. I watched House of Dragon. New season just started. I watched that, the first episode. I got to watch the second one. Big music guy. I listen to a lot of music, all types of music. My pregame hype music is I like Future, the artist Future. That's like my favorite artist to listen to before a game, or really just practice or anything that kind of gets me in my zone. When I can, I like to travel a lot. I like to just go places. I got to go to Europe last year during some time off from football in the summer. That was pretty cool. That was like my mom's graduation gift to me from when I graduated, going into my last year. And yeah, man, traveling, photography has been something that I've had a big interest in these last, I'd say year and a half. I have an older cousin who's a photographer, and he does all types of just dope, photography, and takes pictures for a lot of clothing brands and artists and stuff like that. So that's something I've been interested in. I got a couple film cameras and stuff that I bring with me everywhere I go. Try to take pictures of, everywhere I travel to and just places that I'm at and people that I'm with. So yeah, man, movies, TV shows, photography, spending time with my people, my family. That's what I'm doing if I'm not playing football, if I'm not training.
Yeah, that's awesome. And surprisingly, and maybe this a little bit now, there's even some good spots to check out in northern Wisconsin, even in and around the greater Green Bay area. So if you get any downtime, I'm sure some of the guys can give you some of their favorite spots if you haven't already. So Messiah, I don't know, do you have anything else that you want to share with the fans about your experience or your goals or what you're looking most forward to heading into the season here? It's coming up fast, but just giving you the floor here. If you've got any closing thoughts or comments or anything else that you want to share here before we sign off.
Yeah, nothing really, man. I'm excited to be here. This is a heck of an organization, be in places where I've had coaching changes and some instability, within programs and stuff like that. This is just been a dream come true just to be at a place like this and be in a place like Green Bay. Everybody in the building, top to bottom, from the chefs working in the dining hall and the trainers, our strength staff, our trainers in the training room, our coaches, just everybody who works around the building, our nutrition people. Everybody has a standard, a standard of excellence and a championship standard. So just to be in an environment like that every day has been amazing. It's made it so much easier for me, being young, and I'm around. Rookie class is a heck of a class of guys. Everybody's a great dude. Got to be around those guys a lot. Coaching staff is amazing. All just really good people, easy to talk to. So, man, I'm just super excited to be here. I feel like this has been the biggest blessing, I've ever had in my life. So, man, I'm excited to be a Packer, and hopefully, be around for a long time.
Man, we're so excited. Messiah Swinson, tight end, Green Bay Packers. Check it out. We'll all be tracking you all training camp long, man. We'll all be cheering for you. Before we wrap up, we just have one one thing we'd love for you to do. Could you give us a good hearty go pack go?
Go Pack Go, baby. Go Pack Go.
Go pack go. Cy Swinson, tight end. Thanks, man. You have a good night. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Messiah. Yep. Take care.